quickly, and then they'll just simply revert the change. There's a new pages feed, for example, so you can go to a certain page of Wikipedia and see every new page as it's created. This is really important because a lot of new pages that get created are just garbage that have to be deleted, ASDF, ASDF. But also that's some of the most interesting and fun things at Wikipedia is some of the new articles. People will start an article on some interesting topic. Other people will find that intriguing and jump in and help and make it much better. So we do have edits by anonymous users, which is one of the most controversial and intriguing things about Wikipedia. So Chris was able to do his change. He didn't have to log in or anything. He just went on the website and made a change. But it turns out that only about 18% of all the edits to the website are done by anonymous users. And that's a really important thing to understand, is that the vast majority of the edits that go on the website are from a very close-knit community of maybe 600 to 1,000 people who are in constant communication. And we have over 40 IRC channels, 40 mailing lists. All these people know each other, they communicate, we have offline meetings. These are the people who are doing the bulk of the site, and they are, in a sense, semi-professionals at what they're doing. That the standards that we set for ourselves are equal to or higher than professional standards of quality. We don't always meet those standards, but that's what we're striving for. And so that tight community is who really cares for the site. And these are some of the smartest people I've ever met. Of course, it's my job to say that, but it's actually true. The type of people who are drawn to writing an encyclopedia for fun tend to be pretty smart people. The tools in the software, there's lots of tools that allow us meaning the community, to self-monitor and to monitor all the work. This is an example of a page history on Flat Earth, and you can see some changes that were made. What's nice about this page is you can immediately take a look at this and see, oh, okay, I understand now. When somebody goes and looks at, they see that an anonymous IP number made an edit to my page. That sounds suspicious. Who is this person? Somebody looks at it. They can immediately see highlighted in red all of the changes that took place. To see, okay, well, these words have changed, things like this. So that's one tool that we can use to very quickly monitor the history of a page. Another thing that we do within the community is we leave everything very open-ended. Most of the social rules and the methods of work are left completely open-ended in the software. All of that stuff is just on wiki pages, and so there's nothing in the software that enforces the rules. The example I've got up here is a votes for deletion page. So I mentioned earlier, people type ASDF, ASDF, it needs to be deleted. Cases like that, the administrators just delete it. There's no reason to have a big argument about it. But you can imagine there's a lot of other areas where the question is this notable enough to go on an encyclopedia? Is the information verifiable? Is it a hoax? Is it true? Is it what? So we needed a social method for figuring out the answer to this. And so the method that arose organically within the community is the votes for deletion page. And in the particular example we have here, it's a film, Twisted Issues. And the first person says, now this is supposedly a film, it fails the Google test miserably. The Google test is you look in Google and see if it's there, because if something's not even in Google, it probably doesn't exist at all. It's not a perfect rule, but it's a nice starting point for quick research. So somebody says, delete it, please, delete it, it's not notable. And then somebody says, wait, I found it in a book, Film Threat Video Guide, the 20 underground films you must see. Oh, okay, so the next person says, clean it up. Somebody says, I found it in IMDb, keep. And what's interesting about this is that the software these votes are just text typed into a page. This is not really a vote so much as it is a dialogue. Now, it is true that at the end of the day, an administrator can go through here and take a look at this and say, okay, 18 deletes, 2 keeps, we'll delete it. But in other cases, this could be 18 deletes and 2 keeps, and we would keep it, because if those last 2 keeps say, wait a minute, nobody else saw this, but I found it in a book, and I found a link to a page that describes it, and I'm going to clean it up tomorrow, so please don't delete it, then it would survive. And it also matters who the people are who are voting. Like I say, it's a tight-knit community. Down here at the bottom, Keep Real Movie, Rick Kay. Rick Kay is a very famous Wikipedian who does an enormous amount of work with vandalism, hoaxes, and votes for deletion. His voice carries a lot of weight within the community because he knows what he's doing. So how is all this governed? I mean, people really want to know about, administrators, things like that. So the Wikipedia governance model, the governance of the community, is a very confusing but a workable mix of consensus, meaning we try not to vote on the content of articles because the majority view is not necessarily neutral. Some amount of democracy. All of the administrators, these are the people who have the ability to delete pages. That doesn't mean they have the right to delete pages. They still have to follow all the rules. But they're elected. They're elected by the community. Sometimes people, random trolls on the internet, like to accuse me of handpicking the administrators to bias the content of the encyclopedia. I always laugh at this because I have no idea how they're elected, actually. There's a certain amount of aristocracy, and so you got a hint of that when I mentioned like Rick Kay's voice would carry a lot more weight than someone we don't know. I give this talk sometimes with Angela, who was just reelected to the board from the community, to the board of the foundation, with more than twice the votes of the person who didn't make it. And I always embarrass her because I say, well, Angela, for example, could get away with doing absolutely anything within Wikipedia because she's so admired and so powerful. But the irony is, of course, that Angela can do this because she's the one person who you know would never, ever, ever break any rules of Wikipedia. And I also like to say she's the only person who actually knows all the rules of Wikipedia. So, and then there's monarchy, and that's my role in the community. So I was describing this in Berlin once, and the next day in the newspaper, the headline said, "I am the Queen of England." And that's not exactly what I said, but the point is, my role in the community, within the free software world, there's been a long-standing tradition of the benevolent dictator model. So if you look at most of the major free software projects, they have one single person in charge who everyone agrees is the benevolent dictator. Well, I don't like the term benevolent dictator, and I don't think that it's my job or my role in the world of ideas to be the dictator of the future of all human knowledge compiled by the world. It just isn't appropriate. But there is a need still for a certain amount of monarchy, a certain amount of sometimes we have to make a decision and we don't want to get bogged down too heavily in formal decision-making processes. So as an example of why this has been, or how this can be important, we recently had a situation where a neo-Nazi website discovered Wikipedia, and they said, oh, well, this is horrible, this Jewish conspiracy of a website, and we're going to get certain articles deleted that we don't like, and we see they have a voting process, so we're going to send, we have 40,000 members, and we're going to send them over, and they're all going to vote and get these pages deleted. Well, they managed to get 18 people to show up. That's neo-Nazi math for you. They always think they've got 40,000 members when they've got 18, but they managed to get 18 people to come and vote in a fairly absurd way to delete a perfectly valid article. Of course, the vote ended up being about 85 to 18, so there was no real danger to our democratic processes. On the other hand, people said, but what are we going to do? I mean, this could happen. What if some group gets really seriously organized and comes in and wants to vote? Then I said, well, we'll just change the rules. That's my job in the community, to say we won't allow our openness and freedom to undermine the quality of the content. And so as long as people trust me in my role, then that's a valid place for me. Of course, because of the free licensing, if I do a bad job, the volunteers are more than happy to take and leave. I can't tell anyone what to do. So the final point here is that to understand how Wikipedia works, it's important to understand that our wiki model is the way we work, but we are not fanatical web anarchists. In fact, we're very flexible about the social methodology because it's ultimately the passion of the community is for the quality of the work, not necessarily for the process that we use to generate it. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Ben Saunders. Jimmy, you mentioned impartiality being a key to Wikipedia's success. It strikes me that much of the textbooks that are used to educate our children are inherently biased. Have you found Wikipedia being used by teachers, and how do you see Wikipedia changing education?
Yeah, so a lot of teachers are beginning to use Wikipedia. There's a media storyline about Wikipedia, which I think is false. It builds on the storyline of bloggers versus newspapers. And the storyline is there's this crazy thing, Wikipedia, but academics hate it and teachers hate it. And that turns out to not be true. The last time I got an email from a journalist saying, why do academics hate Wikipedia? I sent it from my Harvard email address because I was recently appointed a fellow there. And I said, well, they don't all hate it. But I think there's going to be huge impacts, and we actually have a project that I'm personally really excited about, which is the WikiBooks project, which is an effort to create textbooks in all the languages. And that's a much bigger project. It's going to take 20 years or so to come to fruition. But part of that is to fulfill our mission of giving an encyclopedia to every single person on the planet. We don't mean we're going to spam them with AOL-style CDs. We mean we're going to give them a tool that they can use. And for a lot of people in the world, if I give you an encyclopedia that's written at a university level, it doesn't do you any good without a whole host of literacy materials to build you up to the point where you can actually use it. And so the Wikibooks project is an effort to do that. And I think that we're going to really see a huge, it may not even come from us. There's all kinds of innovation going on. But freely licensed textbooks are the next big thing in education.